They talk about coal and gas as a major resource. Water is our most crucial resource by a long, long way. And if we don't protect our water, we're doomed, in my opinion.
Really, what's happening to the groundwater resource is the most critical questions. And that's the sort of stuff that we still haven't got good data. We haven't understood groundwater and the fact that some of the processes going on in groundwater take decades. They don't just go in 1 year, they don't just go in 5 years. Sometimes they take 50 years or more before we realise the problem we've got.
Fracking, or hydraulic fracturing, is a hazardous industrial process that is frequently used in unconventional gas extraction. Fracking involves high-pressure injection of large volumes of water, sand and chemicals into the ground to fracture the source rock and stimulate gas flow. Fracking has resulted in contamination of ground and surface waters with chemicals and methane, which can migrate upwards through subsurface cracks and fissures. Fracking has also been associated with an increased incidence of earthquakes. During coal seam gas extraction, large volumes of groundwater must also be extracted to facilitate gas flow.
This depressurisation will affect the whole groundwater system. Every litre of water you pump out of the ground reduces river flow by the same amount.
We've only got 5 metres left available to pump, and then...
So you've lost 2/3 of your standing water,
that's
essentially.
Correct, yeah. So if it continues to decline at the rate we are, we've probably only got 2 to 3 years water left here. So it's pretty scary, yeah.
They don't know at this stage how long it'll take to replenish that water, or whether the gas is going to come up out of the ground like it does in the Condamine River.
Within an hour of the Condamine gas bubbling going on YouTube, already Queensland Government and industry were saying, no, can't be CSG. By reducing the pressure in the Walloon, you're making it easier for gas to flow and therefore easier for it to come up in the Condamine. It's a clear, obvious case that it could be explained by CSG. But there's no recorded history of an event like this in the Condamine, so it's unprecedented.
Shale and tight gas fracturing are extremely water-intensive processes. Each frac, depending on the nature of the well, will use between 10 and 30 million litres of water. Each well will often be fractured multiple times, so up to 7, 8, 9 times over the life of a well, which could be over 20 years. And each time it's fracked, it will require that amount of water. During the drilling process, once again, millions of litres of water are used just to drill the well in the first place.
And then there are the chemicals used in drilling and fracking.
They talk about such little amounts of chemical being used. Well, certainly our research has shown that in many cases they are substantial quantities, up to 18 tonnes per well. Much of that, 40% of that, can never be recovered. And then when you multiply that by the number of wells that the industry envisage, the chemical usage really is phenomenal. And the claim that somehow these chemicals are things that you find under your kitchen sink or in your bathroom cabinet is just absolute rubbish.
These chemicals are carcinogens, they're reproductive toxins, they're chemicals that cause sensitization.
We just don't know what the potential impacts are going to be. And that's not just impacts immediately, this is impacts for generations to come, because once those chemicals have gone into our groundwater, we can't get them out. There's no way of extracting those chemicals.
The 3 small grandchildren jumped into the bath time's a happy time, and they started screaming, and when they were taken out of the water they had a ring up to the level of where the water had sat that they were sitting in. And it was like a chemical burn. It genuinely was a chemical burn.
Now our gas meter says that that's a combustible gas.
We put that bore hose into a drum, and so it's bubbling up, and when we would strike a match, it would ignite.
The other thing that they do is to say there's no evidence that fracking has ever contaminated people's water. But of course, no baseline studies were done by these companies before they start. So of course, when these impacts start hitting home, they just simply say, look, this is natural, this has always occurred, and there is no evidence to suggest that we're causing it. No evidence to suggest.
You know, it's the old adage, no data, so there's no problem.
Another unanswered question is, how will they deal with the waste?
Truly, this industry produces so much waste that it just cannot deal with. The water that this industry wants to palm off onto local government, onto farmers, is anything but clean. And it may have everything from methane through to heavy metals, to BTEX, to a whole range of toxic byproducts still in it.
Look at this. Product water, straight on the church road.
The water is their enemy. They can't deal with the water. They will never deal with the water. Not safely. They can deal with it. They'll fill this river with water. They don't care. They don't care. They're in it. It's only money.
It's common practice when you're establishing gas well that of course you need to extract the water so you can obtain the gas. A common practice was to discharge that water into an local creek system.